With love, there's something really interesting about it where we seem to think of it as a possession, something that we can exchange, something we can give to one another, receive from one another as if it's an object. But that's not what love is. Love is a feeling, it's a vibration, it's a frequency that we get to share by just being with each other, by being even with ourselves. The moment that we make it a possession and we say, okay, love is this expression that I give to you, or this thing that you gave to me, but then it's also something we can lose, because now it's tangible something. And everything in this world that has form also is always going out of form. It's like the snow outside. You have the snow, it comes down, it's beautiful, it's little snowflakes and designs, but it will ultimately always melt away. And new snow will come down. And so with love, in the same way, if we're constantly trying to hold on to it, it's like taking a snowflake and putting it in your hand and holding, and thinking that it will remain there. But what's really happening is it's melting away, and you've lost the beauty because you covered it up. So I suppose when we talk about love, the idea and the question is really, how can we experience love without trying to possess it, without trying to hold on to it, but rather accepting that love is something that's actually always there, and its expressions are coming and going. Now, obviously, most people, when they talk about love, they want to know about romantic love. They want to know about partnership and relationships, and where does love fit into that? It gets really tricky. Because in that, if we go back to this first thought of love being a possession, in relationship, we immediately make it an object. We immediately make it something that we want to, and this is a beautiful thing, to want to give our love to another, and also to want to receive it. But you must realize that neither one is giving or receiving, but rather is simply sharing and recognizing. Have you ever, maybe in a partnership or a family member or a child or anybody that you've seen, where you just looked at them and you saw the love and you felt it? And it wasn't that they gave you anything, it's not that anything was exchanged, but just in that moment there was a warmth. And you couldn't help but feel love. This is real love. What we do normally in relationship is we go and we say, okay, there's a part of me that I'm not sure about. Maybe you can tell me that it's okay. And then with your love, I can fill that spot. With that love, I can fill that hole. This is a very dangerous game. So whenever we're trying to fill a hole with love or with affection or with anything, then we're risking our own ability to do it ourselves. Our ability to recognize that there was never a hole, there was never a crack or anything there that needed to be filled. One of the biggest reasons that I went into my silence the first time, so the first year that I did, this was in 2012, was because of heartbreak. My heart was shattered. And it was from a loss, and from that loss then came the loss of my partnership, and then the loss of my confidence, and I wasn't functioning. And I know human nature, and it's to start to reach outwardly and try to fill that hurt and heal from outside. And it doesn't work. And so I went inward, and I went silent for 365 days. Because I thought by doing that, by blocking out everything that might distract me, that I would discover something new, something that would protect me from ever having my heart broken again. And even though I had gone inward, I was still looking outside of myself. I assumed that by the end of that year, I might have found somebody, a new partner, a new love. And so after about 360 days, I had about 1 week left. I was alone. And a part of me started to think, I failed. Oh, you're in silence, and for what? I'm still alone. Damn it. So, and I had to stop for a moment and really look, okay, what was this year really about? And what is it that I'm really looking to realize or to find out? And what happened in that last week was beautiful because it was the biggest insight that I could have had, and it's what drives everything that I do now, and it comes back to this idea of love, is that who we are Everything, our passion, our purpose, our character, our authenticity, who we are at our deepest core as a spirit, as a being, it cannot be discovered because we can only discover things outside of us, but it can be uncovered. Does that make sense? So discovery is outside of you, and uncovering is you actually peeling away all the layers. It's like when you come inside and take your coat off, and then your scarf off, and then your other coat off, and then your other coat off, and your gloves off, and then finally, there you are. But you were there the whole time, weren't you? So is love. Love is always there the whole time. It's the base. It's the canvas upon which you are painting your reality. But we so often look for what that painting is instead of the canvas, and we don't realize that love is there already.
Me, personally, I'm afraid of love. I'm now in a relationship, and I think I want to marry him. I'm 23 years old. But I'm really afraid that I'm gonna lose him. But there's no reason at the moment, or it's like everything works perfectly, but I'm so afraid.
Because it looks like you have no guarantee for it.
Yeah. I want a guarantee. I want a marriage.
Right now, marriage is not a guarantee.
I know. I know.
Love is about letting go, and that doesn't mean releasing or coming out of relationships. It means letting go of the control, letting go of the fear, letting go of the idea that anything would be permanent anyway. None of that's bad. It just means that it's always evolving, always changing, and that can be a wonderful thing. Because as the relationship changes, you change, he changes, and there's this beauty that blossoms. What's important is realizing where your fear comes from. Because it's not about love. Love's already there. And so whether you're afraid of it or not, it's there. You may be afraid of losing it. You cannot. You may also be afraid, especially, and this is the funny thing when it comes to relationships, we desperately want that commitment so that we can feel safe to be intimate, to be vulnerable, to open ourselves and say, okay, now that you've given me a ring or some commitment, or you've said, yes, I'm going to be here, I'm not going to leave, now I'll show you who I really am, and I'll fully open. Who you truly are, your authenticity, your deepest core, is your most beautiful, beautiful expression. Why would you cheat that from the world? Out of fear. It's really important to realize that our authenticity, our truest character, and it's the piece of us that we're so afraid to show to the world, is actually the very thing that the world is waiting for. Because each of us is unique, we're here with a different message, a unique way of sharing it. Mine is silently, for the most part. Do you all know the word intimacy?
Was?
Intimacy?
Was heißt es?
It's essentially, it's normally looked at differently, but the way I define it is allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, especially with those that we fear might judge us. Intimacy is allowing your truest self to be shown. Most of us walk around and we only show a mask of who we are, a personality. Even in my silence, I find myself becoming much more monkey-like and playful. But when I'm speaking, all of a sudden an identity, an ego comes forward. This is what I was sharing with you, that I'm in my silence this time to take that away. You can probably see already, like, the way that I speak is so different from how I am when I'm in silence. Mm-hmm. There's a mask. I'm playing a role at the moment. I acknowledge that and I accept that, so it's okay. But normally we don't even recognize that we're playing those roles, or that we're having this mask. And so all of a sudden when the mask starts to fall away and we haven't explored to see what was beneath it, we get scared. And because we haven't looked, we don't know what it is, and we wonder, oh my God, what if it's something bad? And what if when somebody else who I love sees that, what if they run away? What if they don't stay? Well, two things to realize with that is, wouldn't you want only the person who would stay because of your true self to be there? And if that's the case, then begin to show your truest self.
I think I can show my true self. Or in my old relationships, I never felt that I like now. Because now I feel really based and I can also cry and tell him what's happened or what I feel. But it's also sometimes when I come home and I feel like I don't want to do anything or just crying, let it go. Then I think, no, you have to come home and be happy. And cause
You
he
think
wants
this
to-
or he thinks this?
No, I think this.
Have you asked him?
No. But I know that he'd like, yeah, he preferred to see me smile. That's normal. Everyone who loves you wants to see you.
I'll
be
give you a
happy.
secret behind men.
Okay. Tell me.
All men, at some level, normally unconsciously, but at some level, just want to be in service. We want to support, protect, and serve the women in our lives, whoever the love is. That's the masculine energy. And so, if you come and you want to cry, and you let him be there to hold you, it's the greatest gift you can give.
Okay.
If it's authentic. Yeah, so don't be afraid of that.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes I cry, but sometimes I think like, okay, now it's enough.
Nice.
You should stop. I'm a strong woman, and you should be happy now. So, yeah, but I feel everybody, or I don't know, but I think so. Everybody has sometimes those days, and you just want to stay home and cry and watching TV and eat ice cream and do
chocolate.
nothing. And chocolate. But no, it don't have to be that you have something bad in your life, but you have so many things from that, impressions from outside, and it's sometimes too much.
And sometimes we cry for joy.
Yeah. I had a friend, she told me I should cry. It helps. And then I started with, yeah.
Good. I've said in some of my other heart talks this idea around crying. It's, when we cry, it's a release. And whether it's because we're overwhelmed with joy or overwhelmed with sadness, doesn't matter. It's a release from the body. It's an expression. And normally if we're in a public place and it starts to come up, and that's the moment that it truly wants to come up. We're like, nope, this isn't convenient. I'm just going to suppress it down. And then when I get home, nobody's around, then I can cry. And then you get home, you're like, and nothing comes. Because that wasn't the moment. You got in your head. Mm-hmm. You were in your body, and your body was like, I want to purge this. I want to let go of something. If we come back to this topic of love with all of that, I kind of look at love as the ocean, but it's the depth of the ocean. It's almost to the very bottom of it. It's where it's always constant, peaceful, still. And at the surface, there's always the waves. And they're moved by the weather, by the climate, by the people, by what's passing and going. And most of us only know love at that surface level, at the waves. And so it's coming and it's going, it's choppy or it's calm. Sometimes it's got a storm. Sometimes it's so still that it's like a reflection of everything. And I remember once when I was in the Maldives teaching meditation, and one of the crew on a cruise ship I was on, he came to me and he was asking me about, well, how do I feel? Not just love, but also peace, like a calmness of mind. He said, there's too many thoughts. There's no way I can filter them. And what I told him, I pointed to the ocean, and I said, you see all the waves? If you sat down to meditate and you tried to focus on every single wave, it'd be very difficult. Very difficult. We do this all the time though. But if you just jumped into the water and you felt the water, you felt the waves, there's no more thinking about it, there's no more trying to focus, there's actually just being and feeling. Same goes with love. We try to define it, we try to find it, we try to give it some perspective outside of us, and we focus upon it. We go, okay, love is this, and that's what I'll go after. Oh, no, maybe it's this, and then I'll go after that. Oh, but it could be this. Oh, they said it's this, though. Ah, what is love? Love is the experience. It is not the definition, or the perspective, or the perception, or the story that's written about it. Love is the experience. When it's there and when it's gone. Because it's still there. You just stop seeing it and feeling it. You got out of the water. That's all that happened.
There are a lot of different loves. Child love, friend love, relationship love, father love, mother love. It depends what you need in each kind of age or stage.
And yet they all have the same base. It's connection. In some form, yeah. Connection is the significance of life. Not the objects, but the connection itself. That makes sense? So for instance, especially when it comes to relationships, when we get into a relationship, it's beautiful, it's moving forward, everything goes very, very lovey-dovey. And for whatever reason, maybe it's that you grew apart, or there's a fight, or it's just time, the relationship ends. And there's this feeling inside of, oh, I'll never feel that love again. Or that connection was so important because we make the connection about the other person. But it was never about the other person. It was about the experience of the connection, of the love. And if we allow it to be that, then in any moment, another form, another person, thing, experience, nature, environment, whatever it is, could come into your life and give that same connection. But if you filled that spot with the story of the past, well, there's other things coming and it's like, it can't get in. Have you ever noticed that when you are kind of, you've come out of a relationship and it's been a little while, or maybe you've not been in a relationship and you're looking for one, and for as long as you're looking, you don't find anything. And then in the moment that you surrender, you go, that's it. I don't need love anymore. Boom. There it is.
Yeah.
Because you stopped placing something in the way. You emptied the cup so that that love could enter. Before that, the cup was full. Which is again the same as the snowflake in the hand. You have to open your hand, let this go. And then immediately, and it's instantaneous, a new snowflake will come. And then another, and another. For as much as they melt, they come. Because it's consistent. The only thing that makes it not is when you close your hand.